Someone manipulated you today. You just don't know it yet. Maybe it was a guilt trip disguised as a favor. Maybe it was a countdown timer on a website designed to rush your decision. Maybe it was someone twisting an argument until you were the one apologizing. Stick around, because in the next 9 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how it happened, and how a 2,000-year-old philosophy can make you almost impossible to manipulate again. This is Philosopher of Everything, where we decode the hidden psychology behind everyday manipulation and use ancient Stoic philosophy to build real, practical defenses against it. If that sounds useful, stick around till the end, because I'll give you a daily exercise that takes 60 seconds and changes how you handle people permanently. Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. Human beings are predictable. We evolved certain mental shortcuts, psychologists call them cognitive biases, that helped our ancestors survive. We trust authority figures. We follow the crowd. We feel obligated when someone gives us something. We panic when we think we're about to lose an opportunity. These shortcuts kept early humans alive, but in the modern world, they've become exploitable software bugs. Marketers know them. Cult leaders know them. Manipulative partners know them, even if they couldn't name a single psychological term. They don't need a PhD. They just need to notice what works and repeat it. This is where dark psychology becomes relevant, not as a toolkit for manipulating others, but as a map of the terrain. If you understand the tactics being used against you, you stop being an easy target. And this is exactly where Stoicism becomes your greatest ally. Because Stoicism was never really about suppressing emotion. It was about mastering your own mind, so nobody else could master it for you. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught something called the dichotomy of control. Some things are within our power, our judgments, our reactions, our choices, and some things are not, other people's opinions, actions, and words. Manipulators thrive on collapsing this distinction. Guilt tripping works because the target starts believing that someone else's emotional state is their responsibility to manage. Gaslighting works because the target starts doubting their own perception of reality, handing control of their judgment to someone else. Here's the Stoic countermove. When someone says, "You're making me feel terrible," pause and ask yourself, is their feeling actually within my control? Epictetus would say no. You can be considerate. You can be kind. But you cannot own another adult's emotional reactions. The moment you remember that distinction, guilt tripping loses its grip. The same applies to gaslighting. If someone insists your memory of an event is wrong, without evidence, without specifics, only insistence, the Stoic response isn't to fight or collapse. It's to return to your own internal judgment, calmly verify facts where possible, and refuse to outsource your perception of reality to someone else's confidence. This single mental habit, separating what is yours to control from what belongs to someone else, is arguably the single most powerful psychological firewall a person can build. Let's name a few patterns so you can spot them in real time. Love bombing, excessive affection, gifts, or attention early in a relationship, designed to create fast emotional dependency. The Stoic response is temperance, the virtue of moderation. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily not to be swept away by intensity, but to evaluate people and situations with a clear, undistorted mind. Fast intensity is a signal to slow down, not speed up. The scarcity trap. This offer expires in 10 minutes. If you don't act now, you'll lose him forever. Urgency is manufactured because a rushed mind makes worse decisions. Seneca wrote extensively about how haste is the enemy of good judgment. The Stoic countermeasure is simple. When you feel rushed, that is precisely the moment to slow down deliberately. Darvo, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. This is when someone caught doing wrong flips the script, making themselves the victim and you, the aggressor. It's disorienting by design. The Stoic anchor here is your own internal judgment, tested calmly against facts, not against the emotional volume of the accusation. As Marcus Aurelius put it in his private journal, external chaos should never be allowed to disturb the internal citadel of your mind. Authority exploitation. Humans are wired to defer to perceived expertise or status. Manipulators borrow authority, real or fabricated, to bypass your scrutiny. Stoicism teaches a kind of respectful skepticism. Evaluate the argument, not merely the title of the person making it. Notice that in every case, the tactic works by hijacking an emotion, fear, guilt, urgency, awe, and using it to bypass reasoned judgment. The Stoic method is always the same. Intercept the emotional reaction, examine it consciously, and then choose your response deliberately instead of reactively. Knowing the theory isn't enough. Stoicism was always meant to be practiced, not just read about. Here are 3 exercises modern psychology actually confirms are effective. Negative visualization. Each morning, briefly imagine a manipulative scenario you might face. A guilt trip, a pushy sales pitch, a passive-aggressive comment. This isn't pessimism. It's mental rehearsal. Athletes visualize performance before competition. You can visualize composure before conflict. When the real moment arrives, it feels familiar instead of destabilizing. The view from above. Marcus Aurelius often imagined zooming out, seeing an entire situation, or even his whole life from a great height. When you're in the middle of a manipulative conversation, mentally step back and observe the interaction as if you were a neutral third party watching 2 people talk. This distance instantly reduces emotional hijacking and restores clear thinking. Evening reflection. Before bed, review your day honestly. Where did someone try to influence you unfairly? Did you notice it in the moment or only afterward? This isn't self-criticism. It's calibration. Every reviewed interaction sharpens your ability to spot the pattern next time. These 3 practices, done consistently, rewire your default response from reactive to reflective. And a reflective mind is a very difficult mind to manipulate. It's worth pausing here on something important. Understanding dark psychology is not the same as using it. The Stoics were deeply concerned with justice, treating others fairly, even when you have the power not to. Learning these tactics to protect your boundaries, your relationships, and your peace of mind is wisdom. Using them to control or deceive others is a betrayal of the very philosophy we're discussing. The goal here isn't to turn you into a master manipulator. It's to turn you into someone who can no longer be easily manipulated. Someone whose sense of self is stable enough that external pressure, guilt, and urgency simply don't land the way they used to. 2,000 years ago, a formerly enslaved man named Epictetus taught that no one can truly control you unless you hand them the reins of your own judgment. That single idea is more relevant today than ever. In a world engineered, sometimes deliberately, to hijack your attention, your emotions, and your decisions. You don't need to become cynical or distrustful of everyone around you. You simply need to become aware. Awareness is the first act of freedom. if this video helped you see manipulation a little more clearly. Subscribe for more deep dives into philosophy and the human mind. And let me know in the comments. Which tactic have you noticed being used on you recently? Stay clear-headed. Stay free.